Today I'm going to be reviewing a book called White Fang by Jack London. This is the book right here. It's a hardcover copy, and the book that I read, it's actually two books published by the same author. The first one is The Call of the Wild, and the second one is White Fang. So both of them were written by Jack London, who's a pretty well-known American author. So this book is basically an American classic. The author is very well known, and one of the books which he wrote early on in his life was adapted into the first full-length American movie, actually. So that's a fun fact about Jack London. And it was written either in the late 1890s or the early 1900s, and it was a very big success when it came out. So I would say that the book is an excellent and a very wholesome read, and it invokes a wide variety of emotions in the reader, including fear, anger, hatred at times, sadness, as well as joy and elation. So it really takes you through the motions along with the story of White Fang. This book goes through the life story of White Fang, who's a part dog and part wolf. He's raised in the wild, and he's domesticated early on in his life by a band of native Aboriginal people in Canada. And he has to go through many different trials and tribulations, including being caught from the wild by these Aboriginals, being separated from his mother, as his mother, who's a dog, actually joins a separate band or a separate group, while he stays with another group on separate hunting expeditions. He even becomes a sled dog, a participant in dog fighting matches. Later on, he becomes a guard dog, and finally, he moves from Canada to Southern California, and he becomes a domesticated dog, or you can even say a pet of a wealthy American man. The author consistently reminds us of the notion of White Fang being a creature of the wild. So he's a wolf, and he was raised in the wild, and his ancestors were all wolves, and they had this wild instinct in them. And this allows them to be fearless, and they have this mental makeup where they can consistently adapt themselves to whatever environment they're in. And White Fang definitely does this. He finds himself in so many different environments and situations throughout his life, and he continuously adapts himself towards his environment. A few notable examples of these environments are: he was born in the middle of a cave in the forest, and he learned to hunt in order to survive. That was the first environment he was born into. Later on in his life, he was domesticated in an Aboriginal camp where he was fed meat by the hands of his owners, and he was part of a pack of sled dogs who carried the goods and the livelihoods and essentially the homes and family members of these Aboriginal people. So they carried the livelihoods of their masters on their shoulders. Furthermore, he later on molded himself to being a champion fighting dog, or you can even say a fighting wolf, because it keeps on reinforcing the fact that he's a wolf, not a dog. And at this point in his life, he was living in captivity in a cage by a very cruel man who captured him. And that man was named Beauty Smith, and he was a very gruesome person in this book. At this stage of his life, he had to sustain and endure injury after injury, both physically and mental, by the other dogs that he fought, as well as his owner, Beauty Smith, and lash and laugh after laugh of cruel men and other dogs who fought with him, beat him at multiple times, and he was really treated like a slave at that point in time. Still, White Fang even adjusted to this reality and to this living situation, and eventually life takes him on another path, which is a path of much less resistance, and a path of comfort and a path of luxury, where eventually he becomes a father and a pet or a companion of this wealthy man in the USA. This man owns several companies. His father is a judge in California and a wealthy statesman, and he also has businesses up north in Canada, which is where he first discovers White Fang and he saves him from the claws of captivity, which he's living under in Beauty Smith's uh, dog pen or dog fighting ring, and his his new owner who basically saves his life when he gets completely beaten up and destroyed as a result of his captivity and as a result of his fights with other dogs. Um, so yeah, basically, it's a story that talks about the fact that our mental makeup is so important to us enduring through difficult situations, and the ability to endure, the ability to adapt, and the ability to keep remaining positive and keep being confident in ourselves is really one of the factors which leads to us overcoming our obstacles in life. So the note that I made is throughout this book, Jack London brilliantly shows us how life can go in so many different directions, but the qualities of man or a wolf, which, like, the qualities which man or wolf possess of never giving up, being positive, persistent, and fearless, make us able to overcome the largest of obstacles and challenges and come over top of our challenges in the end. In summary, I believe that Jack London has written a wonderful book and it's inspirational for readers of all ages. I would 100% recommend this to any kind of reader who enjoys classic fiction, and it's definitely a book that has had a lasting impact on me, and I firmly believe that once you read it, it'll definitely go in your best reads list, and it'll go at the top of your list for those books that are really feel good and wholesome, and they really teach us a deeper lesson in them. They're not like those fiction books that we read merely for entertainment. Rather, it's fiction that inspires us and teaches us lessons about life. So those are my thoughts about White Fang by Jack London. Here's the book once more, and I would highly recommend it. Thanks for listening to my review.